What new guidelines President Todd Dyken released after the risk for COVID-19 was raised in Kent? We have the details and reactions from students.
And the verdict for the Kent State Sorority Stalker has been announced and controversy has followed. Stick with us.
Former Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's funeral brought many people together to say goodbye. The information on the ceremony coming up.
See what the changing seasons have in store for us in regards to weather, tonight and through the next week. Right here on TV2 News, starting now.
This is TV2 News.
Good Wednesday evening, Kent State. Thank you for joining us. We are breaking down President Dyken's email to students and the ruling of the man who stalked sororities last semester. That's where we begin tonight. I'm Chris Abreu.
And I'm Shane Troyano. And a group of Republican legislators in the Ohio House of Representatives is set to introduce a bill that seeks to end the state's emergency order brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, specifically being called the Restore Ohio Now bill.
If enacted, it would immediately terminate Ohio's state of emergency resulting from the spread of the coronavirus, as well as rescind specific health orders enacted by Governor Mike DeWine's administration. Kent State University President Todd Dyken released an email to faculty and students yesterday, shortly after Portage County was raised to level 3 or red status for risk of COVID-19. Dyken wrote that for the next 2 weeks, he wants students to avoid gatherings and parties, limit interactions outside of classes, and comply with the Flash Safe 7 guidelines. President Dyken said those who fail to comply will face strong disciplinary actions.
And we took to Twitter for your thoughts on President Dyken's email, and we asked students if they would follow Dyken's recommendations and quarantine for 2 weeks. Well, 371 students answered, 66% saying they will quarantine and 34% saying they'll still go out. So how do you feel about the email, we asked, and will you also follow the recommendations? Let us know on Twitter at TV2KSU.
And a man arrested in Kenmore yesterday after a nearly 2-hour-long standoff with police took place with Akron police. Authorities responded with active felony warrants for 33-year-old Bradley Greathouse, which included breaking and entering, felony theft and escape, and 2 counts of grand theft auto. Once the SWAT team was called on the scene, they eventually got the man to surrender. Greathouse was discharged and brought to Summit County Jail. And a man found fatally shot shortly after crashing his minivan into a tree on Akron's west side. Police responded at 2:15 a.m. early this morning after receiving reports of gunfire. They found the victim with apparent gunshot wounds, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. The investigation is still underway. Police say this marks the 3rd deadly shooting in Akron in less than a day.
University of Akron's enrollment numbers are in, and they are not nearly as bad of a decline as administrators predicted in the spring. The administrators projected enrollment could drop for the fall as much as 15 to 20% due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Overall enrollment this fall totals 17,829 students, and only a 7.2% drop from last year. And the Portage Geauga County Juvenile Detention Center has hired the head of Medina's juvenile facility to investigate its policies and procedures after a former guard was accused of having sex with a juvenile inmate. Rod Stoller of Medina County was hired by the facility's board on Tuesday after now the former head, Alicia Craven of Stowe, was accused of engaging in sexual acts with a 16-year-old boy she was supervising. Craven was also charged with sexual battery, a 3rd-degree felony. Her jury trial is scheduled to begin October 6th.
Unemployment benefits are delayed in Ohio due to a coding error, according to the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. Spokesperson Brett Crow stated in an email that all direct deposit payments to people on unemployment were initially rejected from Saturday to Monday. He is currently unaware of how many payments were affected. Crow said that staffers at the department are contacting local banks to get them to process the payments. On Monday, Stephen Franzreb, the man who stalked and harassed the Delta Gamma sorority house last fall, was sentenced to 12 months probation, meaning he won't serve any in-jail time.
Yes, and this ruling was met with mixed emotions from the Kent State community. Many saying it simply isn't enough discipline for his actions. So our reporter Jenna Gobrecht has more. Jenna?
That's right. As you said, Franz Reb will serve no jail time for his harassment last fall, citing his mental health. I spoke with a sociologist to learn more about how the ruling affects both Franz Reb and the victims. Take a look.
I think it's part of a larger movement whereby we realize we're incarcerating people in mass, and it's not working, it's not reducing crime, it's not helpful. I sympathize with the students in that there's also a victims movement that's come about in recent times, and victims should have a right to address the court.
Victim statements play a large role when determining sentencing in the court. In the case of Stephen Franz Reb, there were none. Former Kent State student and Delta Gamma chapter president Michelle Kress said in part that she and her sisters would have loved the opportunity to speak at court due to the trauma they experienced from the harassment. She plans to be present at the status hearing on November 23rd, facing the man whose actions still live with the girls every day.
When we were in the house, it was really scary. Like, walking to our cars was like a whole thing. Like, just like, can you watch me or this? We had to buy, like, I didn't buy a taser, but like everyone bought a taser.
In cases like Franz Reb, courts prefer to sentence them to treatment instead of time served in an effort to prevent them from reoffending.
The best thing to do is to sentence him to some sort of treatment, which would be more likely that he won't reoffend or victimize anybody else.
Now, Franz Reb is expected to appear in court on November 23rd for his status hearing. When in court on Monday, he said that it was never his intention to incite fear on any of the girls. Reporting for TV2 News in the Franklin Hall studio, I'm Jenna Gobrecht.
Good evening. I'm Nathan Welsh with your weather. Currently in Kent, it is 72 out, though it feels like 77. The dew point at 53, we have humidity at 44%. Slightly higher winds from the east at 8 miles per hour. Across northeast Ohio, we have temperatures ranging from the low to mid 70s, and across the rest of Ohio, we see similar trends. Tonight, we're going to have temperatures around 58 degrees. It's going to be cool and cloudy. Sunset at 7:20 tonight, and the sunrise tomorrow morning at 7:15. And stay tuned. After the break, I'll tell you whether it's time to get out the jeans and flannels or wear out the rest of your shorts and t-shirts. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Nathan. A worker for the Ohio Department of Transportation was hit by a car yesterday morning on Interstate 76. Akron Police Lieutenant Michael Miller said they responded to the crash at 11:30 a.m. that happened by Wolf Ledges Parkway. Miller said the worker was hit by a single car heading eastbound during construction. The worker was taken to Summa Akron City Hospital, and his condition is not currently available.
And after a tumultuous year, it seems that Ohio is just not that happy at all. Personal finance website Wallet Hub has released its 2020 list of the happiest states in the U.S., and Ohio ranks 35th on the list. The list focuses on adult depression and work hours to even sports participation. Scores, as you might expect, are lower from past years due to COVID-19. A 6-year-old girl died Tuesday from gunshot wounds, and she suffered 12 days prior. According to Akron Police and the Summit County Medical Examiner's Office, Mariah Jones was riding in a car on Copley Road when she got shot by two men who were arguing on September 10th. She was brought to Akron's Children's Hospital, where she underwent surgery and remained in critical condition until she passed away. And nobody else was hurt in the incident.
The former band director at Solon City School District was arrested on accusations of sexual assault involving a 12-year-old. Edward Klein is charged with gross sexual imposition. The alleged crime occurred back in September in the year 2010. Klein is in Solon jail and was arraigned at 10 a.m. this morning. Accusations against him started back in July when many young women came forward on social media about their interactions with him. And Ohio Governor Mike DeWine warned that the spread of COVID-19 may increase as temperatures decline heading into fall and winter. He told Ohioans yesterday that the virus is known to spread more easily indoors and to be cautious of the temperatures in their homes. DeWine and his administration will publish guidelines for businesses on how to improve their air quality in the upcoming months.
Now, with that, indoor visits with residents of Ohio's nursing homes will be allowed once again as cold weather approaches. Governor Mike DeWine said Tuesday, this lifts the ban that began at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. So DeWine also said it's possible that the state could institute real-time COVID-19 testing of visitors before they enter a nursing home, although that ability to offer is not available yet. And a Restore Ohio Now proposal has been filed by 2 Republican state representatives in an effort to end the state of emergency order. The bill was filed by Representatives Diane Grandel and Reggie Stoltzfus. They say that they believe the curve was flattened prior, and now is the time to transition back to life before the pandemic. The proposal will now undergo a committee hearing.
Why the possible charges in Breonna Taylor's case caused the Illinois National Guard to be in a state of readiness.
And a funeral is being held for Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg today, and thousands are going to the Supreme Court to pay their respects. The details coming up.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read. 'Cause every kid across the nation deserves a book to read, and we can make it happen right now. No, I don't know what you've been told, but kids with books learn so much more. So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child. So let's join hands, book people unite, unearth hidden passion. Come on, we'll have a good time. Seeds of inspiration to motivate some magic. To change the writing on the wall, writing on the wall. And make a difference. One book can inspire a child. One book can be the first little thing that helps to change a life. People unite.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Thank you for sticking with us. The Illinois National Guard is in a state of readiness ahead of a possible announcement of criminal charges in the death of Breonna Taylor. Governor J.B. Pritzker's office confirmed the development Wednesday. The governor says all resources will be available to cities amid possible unrest. Taylor was killed when Louisville police executed a no-knock warrant earlier this year. Her death was an important factor in motivating a renewed push for social justice and racial equality in law enforcement in the U.S.
Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny has been discharged from hospital. He had been receiving treatment in Germany for 32 days, 24 of which he spent in intensive care. On Tuesday, he was released from the Charity Hospital in Berlin. Now, Navalny had become sick last month while flying from Siberia to Moscow, Germany. Investigators later found traces of the powerful chemical agent Novichok. Physicians treating Navalny believe a completely recover is possible, but it's too early to gauge potential long-term effects of his poisoning.
And Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away at the age of 87 last Friday. Her funeral is taking place today at the Supreme Court, bringing many people to pay their respects.
And Supreme Court Justice John Roberts gave a eulogy at the funeral and spoke about his memory of Ginsburg.
I mentioned at the outset that Ruth's passing weighed most heavily on her family, and that is true. But the court was her family too. This building was her home too. Of course, she will live on in what she did to improve the law and the lives of all of us. And yet, still, Ruth is gone, and we grieve.
President Trump is planning to announce his new Supreme Court nominee Saturday at 5 p.m. And he says the High Court will need all 9 justices to decide on the legality of mail-in votes following the elections in November. Sources say Amy Coney Barrett is Trump's overwhelming favorite choice to replace the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg. CNN's Pamela Brown dives into the life of Judge Barrett.
Officials tell CNN Trump seemed very enthusiastic about Amy Coney Barrett after a meeting yesterday at the White House that lasted several hours. After the meeting, the president telling people he believes she will be very well received by, quote, his people. Barrett began her career as a law clerk for late Justice Antonin Scalia.
It was intimidating working for him. You know, when he called you in his office, you had to be prepared to just go to the mat and talk about whatever it was, and he was always 5 steps ahead of you.
She went on to become a law professor at Notre Dame, her alma mater.
Before I was a judge, I was a law professor.
Where in 2012, she signed on to a public letter protesting that abortion and contraception coverage of the Affordable Care Act were, quote, an assault on religious liberty.
You are controversial. Let's start with that.
Barrett's devout Catholic faith became a point of contention during her 2017 confirmation hearing for the Seventh Circuit Appeals Court.
When you read your speeches, the conclusion one draws is that the dogma lives loudly within you. And that's of concern.
Barrett pushed back, insisting no judge's religious beliefs should have any bearing on their interpretation of the law.
If you're asking whether I take my faith seriously, and I'm a faithful Catholic, I am, although I would stress that my personal church affiliation or my religious belief would not bear on the discharge of my duties as a judge. It's never appropriate for a judge to impose that judge's personal convictions, whether they derive from faith or anywhere else on the law.
Barrett also talked about being a mother of 7 during the hearing, including 2 adopted children from Haiti and a son who she learned had Down syndrome when she was pregnant with him.
Benjamin has special needs, and that presents unique challenges for all of us.
Barrett's personal story and conservative credentials have endeared her to grassroots pro-life conservatives.
Someone like Amy Coney Barrett would be a very powerful choice to fire up the base. She's an extremely brilliant jurist, and her personal story, I think, speaks to her pro-life beliefs.
Pamela Brown, CNN, Washington.
Police say 3 Ohio State University students were cut during a fight early this morning. One of them was taken into custody. According to a police spokesperson, it all started with an argument which led to a fight. The spokesperson said the incident involved a box cutter. It's not clear exactly where the fight began, but it may have started off campus. All 3 students were hospitalized for non-life-threatening injuries. And Uncle Ben's rice products are getting a new name, Ben's Original. Mars is also dropping the package logo. The new branding will have the same blue font and orange packaging and will hit shelves in 2021. The changes are part of a broader movement about racial equality amid heightened criticism of brands with origins rooted in racial stereotypes. A meeting between the Rootstown School Board and the NAACP was held last night after 2 board members and the high school football coach resigned.
TV2's Gabby Jonas has a story.
Earlier this week, a Rootstown football coach resigned after school board declared to not remove a player who called another teammate a racial slur. NAACP President Dr. Galadine Hayes Nelson met with the board yesterday to discuss the alleged racial slurs that were taking place on the football field. The district reinstated the player that was removed from the team by former Rootstown football coach Troy Spiker. Spiker took the situation into his own hands by removing himself as coach due to the frustration of the school board's decision. Frustration of the outcome of the board's decision led to alumni and students to also take a stand for what they feel is discrimination. The Portage County NAACP got involved after receiving multiple complaints regarding Superintendent Andrew Hawkins' decision for the team. To ensure there was indeed discriminatory behavior, they are gathering as much information as possible. One of the ways they are doing this is planning on forming a town hall meeting to have community members and students have a say on the incident. Yesterday, TV2 reporter Dante Santafonte sat in on the discussion between NAACP and Rootstown School Board. This is what NAACP President Dr. Galadine Hayes Nelson had to say.
And it's just being able to talk about and look at within ourselves first, because it all starts within ourselves. And so I think that we want to make sure that as we move through that, that you guys are, that we're all on board and we're all working together. And then I think it moves on to the larger community.
Reporting from Columbus, Ohio, I'm Gabby Jonas.
Thank you, Gabby. COVID-19 concerns have already prompted several Northeast Ohio communities to cancel city-promoted Halloween events. Copley Township and Fairlawn County are not holding scheduled trick-or-treating times, while Newburgh Heights is holding a trick-or-treat drive-through on October 24th. Other counties, including Avon and Cuyahoga, are continuing their Halloween plans.
Looking at our weather tonight, we're going to have clouds pretty much all night. At 9, it's going to be 63, and the temperature is going to steadily decrease throughout the night down to 58 at 3 a.m. And then at 6 a.m. all the way to its low point at 57. It'll then start to increase around 9, 61, all the way up to 71 degrees at noon. Now, looking at our 7-day forecast, you can see it's not really going to be that cold for being the first week of fall. It's going to be partly cloudy tonight and tomorrow with a high of 79, and those clouds will give way to clear and sun on Friday. Those clouds are going to move back in throughout the weekend, though. Those clouds are going to give way to storms on Sunday, and those storms are going to give way to rain, which is then going to ditch the sun and leave us with just clouds and rain. Now, we still have until the start of next week before cold weather descends on us. So, if you're not ready still to let go of summer, take advantage of what you have now.
MAC football could be returning, the decision coming Friday. Stay tuned to find out more details about the protocol coming with the decision.
Can we get strawberries? Okay.
The Big Ten football season is back. Now, the Mid-American Conference is exploring their options for playing a fall season themselves. The university president, including Todd Dykin, are expected to vote this Friday on whether or not the season gets the green light. Some of the restrictions put in place to make this season include cutting the travel roster for league games down from 76 to 70. Home teams will not stay in a hotel the night before the games, and cutting the season down to only 6 games. The Indians were home last night competing against the White Sox. Let's take a look. In the bottom of the first, Cesar Hernandez starts out hot with a deep ball over the right field wall to put the Indians on top. Indians pitcher Adam Plutko gives Chicago the opportunity to tie the game, and that they do. Home run by Chicago's Jose Abreu. In the top of the 10th inning, Chicago pushes ahead with an RBI base hit. Chicago now leads 3-1. With one on base in the bottom of the 10th, Francisco Lindor hits off the center field wall. Roberto Perez into home. Ramirez up to bat looking for a home run pitch, and that he finds. A walk-off win for the Indians to clinch a spot in the postseason. Final score in Cleveland, Indians 5, White Sox 3. Curiosity arose from NFL fans Sunday when Los Angeles Lakers starting quarterback Tyrod Taylor was scratched before kickoff and replaced by rookie Justin Herbert. Reports were floating that Taylor had suffered from a chest injury after warm-ups and was taken to the hospital. Reports on social media surfaced this afternoon that the Chargers team doctor accidentally punctured Taylor's lung while trying to administer a pain-killing injection to his rib. Herbert is expected to start again for Week 3 until further notice. Last night in the NBA playoffs, the Denver Nuggets grabbed their first win of the series against the LA Lakers by a final score of 114-106. Denver managed to play in front all 4 quarters of the game. The Lakers came close to pulling ahead in the 4th quarter, only being down by 4 points, with only 3 minutes and 33 seconds left to play. Thanks to Jamal Murray and his outstanding performance on offense, the Nuggets managed to keep the Lakers in their rear view. Murray posted a double-double for the Nuggets, and Game 4 is tomorrow night at 9 p.m. That's all for your sports. I'm Mackenzie Pflum.
The nation's happiest states have been ranked, and no, Ohio is not one of them. We'll tell you who took the cake when we return in 90 seconds.
It's a big responsibility.
Oh, it's huge. I know, it's huge.
And the salary.
Oh my god, yes.
Right?
I mean, like, I was about to move in with my parents, and right before, yeah, so this saved me.
I really believe in you, you know?
Thank you. It's nice to hear that from someone.
These are cool. Did you, what did you?
Welcome back, Portage County. A 5th grader from Texas is the winner of the annual Doodle for Google contest. After beating out tens of thousands of submissions from K through 12 students, Sharon Sarah's winning artwork was featured on Google's homepage on Wednesday, September 23rd. The contest prompt this year was "I show kindness by." Her drawing is called "Together as One." And in her words, she shows kindness by making friends based on a person's character and personality. Congratulations, Sarah.
And the Aloha State, Hawaii, was rated the happiest state in the U.S. by Wallet Hub. The organization took into account environmental factors and how they are linked to people's satisfaction in life. Researchers measured this through rates of depression and unemployment within the state, compared to how much people work regularly. Now, aloha may mean hello, but I'm pretty sure it also means goodbye. So for Hawaii winning the most liked state, or the most happiest state, right?
The happiest state, yes.
I would have sworn it would be Florida.
I don't agree with that. Florida's like going way downhill, clearly. So.
Yeah, potentially. That'll do it for tonight's edition of TV2 News. As always, thanks for joining us.
I also want to say thank you, Sharon, my mistake, for updates on all these stories and more. Be sure to stick with us on TV2 KSU on social media for everything you need to know. I'm Shane Troyano.
And I'm Chris Abreu. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 6.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys.
Parent, there are no perfect answers, but you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Todd's a great guy.
I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.